Welcome to the International Institute for Facilitation's podcast, Spaghetti on the Wall. I'm Eileen Dowse, Chair Emeritus and Director of Certification for INIFAC, the International Institute for Facilitation. And I'm joined today, I'm so excited to introduce this man to you, Dan Fauchier. And Dan is not only a certified master facilitator, he's also certified with the Lean Construction Institute. And he is CEO of Realignment Group. And so for the next few minutes, we're going to untangle the topic about using facilitation skills in this world of project management. And we're going to have some fun and humor around that too.
We might.
We'll
give it a shot.
We will have fun and humor. So welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
Dan, my husband and I have 3 children, and at one point we had 3 children under the age of 3, and I often felt like I was a project manager at home. That was my thinking. Can you give us the business definition of project manager?
Well, the name kind of gives it away. You're managing a project of some kind, and depending on the industry, it could be a tall building, it could be a piece of software, it could be the rolling out of training, it could be whatever the organization deems to be a project. Mm-hmm. But the requirements of a project manager are pretty broad and very often self-defined based on a scrambling of what the boss wants. But obviously, project planning is a part of it. Coordinating a team of people is a part of it. Taking the known resources and managing those. So you got schedule, budget, and quality, and all of that has to be kind of what the PM is overseeing. There's risk management, and there's lots of risk in a lot of projects. Mm-hmm. There are usually stakeholders. And so management of stakeholders, interface very often directly with stakeholders, because the PM tends to know the most about the details that the stakeholders want to know, right, or the big picture. Equipping a team with tools to succeed. So there's some training involved in that. Creative problem solving. You got to motivate people,
The whole package. And there is a whole certification for project managers as well, right? There is,
and INIFAC is actually developing what I've seen is a really robust and useful certification for the facilitation side of project managers.
You are just leading into my next question.
Oh, well, because you're welcome.
So we have this project management and managing the project.
Yeah.
And great, right? Because that's a whole set of skills. Yeah. And then when we kind of merge that with facilitation, which includes the group dynamics and making people feel comfortable and making sure communication is working, tell us about that merge and the benefits of that.
Here's the thing. There's a whole bunch of books and other things out on meetings. Death by meetings comes to mind. Mm-hmm. So a PM is very often in charge of meetings, starting them, attending them, leading them, and with all of these different stakeholders. And the interesting thing to me, I've recently begun to compare projects to vertical silos, because projects bring together different departments, right, very often different companies, entities, organizations. Yeah. And they're all siloed, and each silo has its own little culture and its own goals and expectations, and they don't necessarily mesh as a team. And so a project manager has to kind of figure out what's the best way to create a team out of all of these silos. They think they do that. Most of them think that the way to do that is in a meeting. Well,
okay, so give us some horror stories. Let's go down for
bad news,
how it could be so bad, and then we'll obviously talk about how it could be so good.
All right, I got one for you.
Okay.
About a decade ago, I was on a $1 billion medical complex in Oakland, and the project manager for that very large project, boasted that he was triple booked all day long in meetings. He was triple booked. That was his boast. He was so important that he had to be in 3 meetings at once. And of course, that's not possible. And so his meetings with stakeholders, what I would call the OAC, the owner, architect, contractor, stakeholder meetings, were long, rambling, unproductive. They had too many people in them, same issues every week. So that kind of thing is not unusual. Companies very often, and it's getting worse as we shrink the number of people on in a company,
Right.
And shrink the management. Now more is demanded, and so we have more meetings, and we have you're quadruple booked. So a project manager has to be smart enough to figure out you can't do that. That's not going to work. Meetings don't have to be an hour. Meetings don't have to have all these people. Meetings don't have to be standard every week or 2, whatever. All that is part of the skill. Plus, facilitating a meeting makes the trains run on time. It means people get heard. It means decisions get made. It means agendas go out in advance. All those kinds of things. And that's not a skill that comes innately with becoming a project manager.
You know what's really interesting? I think we're talking about facilitating well, but I also think there's an important part here of don't have a meeting if you don't need a meeting.
Thank you. If a meeting is only to impart information, don't have the meeting.
Exactly.
Send it out, put it on the board, call it, whatever.
For me, one of the things about facilitators, and we talk a lot about being a facilitator and doing a great meeting, I think there's also a key here about don't have a meeting if you don't need to have a meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That had to be said. There are meeting leaders and there are meeting facilitators, and they're not always the same person.
Right.
But very often they are.
Yeah.
So whoever's going to, if you don't have a facilitator, if you don't have that role in your organization and you're the leader, you got to be that person.
Right.
But if all you're doing in the meeting is telling people information, it's a push, it's a one way, then why would you have that meeting? Why tie up all these people's time? You can say it in a text or an email or put it on a board or something other than that. And there's a broadcast media industry out there that allows you to impart information in a timely basis without having a meeting. Yes.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here, because if anyone's watching this, they might be thinking, oh, but I need to have a meeting to make absolutely sure these people get that information. So I could send it out, but I can't guarantee they're going to read it. So therefore, I'll have a meeting.
Right. Well, why don't you just go by and talk to them?
Yeah.
Seriously, or pick up the phone or whatever. Let them know that it's really important that that information is there. And for a project manager, if they don't get out of their office and go talk to the people they're dealing with anyway, then they're not really managing the project, or at least a team. And so that's an excuse to get out of your office and interface with your team members.
Yeah. So when you, with your great wisdom, many years of wisdom, I mean, I'm looking at you.
Agreed.
If I go pick your brain, where you have seen project managers manage these projects without facilitation skills, and then you've seen, I'm sure, people who manage projects with facilitation skills. What have you noticed both with the meeting or project and the outcome?
Well, outcomes are drastically different, but let me give you an example. It's not unusual for me to walk into a meeting to which I've been invited, and someone else is leading the meeting, and they don't have control of the meeting even at the beginning. they're trying to get the group to come together. People are still side talking. They just don't know how to control the group, how to be in charge of starting the meeting. Another really common difference between a facilitated meeting and a poorly facilitated meeting is one person in the group will take off and just keep talking. They will dominate the group.
Absolutely.
And the facilitator, especially if they are either new to the group or new, is hesitant to interrupt. It may be someone who's theoretically above them, a supervisor at some level, and they don't want to get in trouble. And they don't know how to tactfully to do that. So a skilled facilitator would have set the ground rules at the beginning of the meeting. And one of the things I say as a master facilitator, you pointed out, is that I have the best job in the room. I get to be the jerk in this group. I get to interrupt you. I get to tell you when you've said it 3 times already. I get to say it in different words if I think others have not quite understood.
Yeah.
And so I get to be the jerk, and you don't have to be. That's the good news. You don't have to be.
My jerk comment is, it's okay if your brain stopped working. Do you mind turning down the volume? That's one. I will tell you that if I go into a meeting, and I'm not a project manager, I facilitate, and I know there's going to be those people who talk a lot. Sometimes one of the ground rules I create is that, like, I make a V on the ground rule chart, and everybody's like, what? And I say, this means get to the point. Just like you say, I get to be the jerk. If someone's going on and on and on, and I want to say, turn down the volume because your brain is just, you're talking to think, I will do this. And what happens is you create this environment where, and it's polite. Sometimes it's like people don't realize they're doing it.
Right.
And then others will just quietly look at someone and go, get to the point. What's the point here?
Yeah.
And that helps the meeting.
That helps. There's a phrase called Elmo, like the Elmo doll.
That's right.
Enough, let's move on. And anyone in the group has the power to say, Elmo.
Yeah.
And certainly the facilitator has to be able to do that. The leader who is facilitating has to be able to do that. Yeah.
In all good integrity, I will say that one bothers me a little bit. And here's why.
I don't bring the doll.
I don't bring the doll. But it also bothers me because just because someone says, let's move on, I've seen facilitators say, okay, we're going to move on.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, wait a second. What does everybody else want to do? So Elmo's great if you also check in with everybody. That's
you got to check. Yeah. And that's what a good facilitator will do, is to make sure that not only is someone not talking too much, but someone is not hijacking the meeting and taking it their direction.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So let's talk about just you, okay?
Yeah.
You came up in the project management world, and then suddenly you got into this facilitation world.
Yeah.
What have you noticed about you and your results using the combination?
Yeah. I am more effective. I actually get results. I actually have a lot fewer meetings. I have time to plan and think and analyze and meet with different people. It frees you up because there's an enormous thing in our lives called waste.
Oh, yeah.
and waste.
And the other thing, of value of time. Like,
yes.
If you ever want to give someone a great gift, give them the gift of time.
Give them the gift of time. In fact, if I'm leading, if I'm facilitating a meeting, and we finish early, which we almost always do, I say, I have a gift for you. I'm giving you back 15 minutes to buy.
I do exactly the same thing. And everybody's like, oh, great, I get to take a bio break before my next
Really? But the waste that you and I can see once we become accustomed to it is reduced significantly. As a PM without facilitation skills, I wasn't as aware of the waste. It's like fish in water. A fish doesn't know fish doesn't have a word for water. Because it's everything, it's all around them. And we don't really recognize the waste that is all around us and that we are creating by not facilitating well, by not respecting the time of others, and by doing all the things you and I've been talking about.
Ooh, I really like that. So if you wanted to give me 3 really great skills that a project manager uses, you can do 5 if you have some stretch goals.
I can count that high.
If you 3 or 5 really important skills that a project manager who either is certified as a facilitator, just knows how to facilitate, what would they be?
Well, the number one skill is neutrality. And that's not endemic to project managers. They tend not to be neutral. They tend to have an opinion about everything. They have to. They think they're in charge of it. I better have an opinion. A really good collaborative, facilitative project manager in being the facilitator of a session or a whatever, a think group, is neutral for this. And if you need to give up your neutrality in order to weigh in, you need to hand the baton off to somebody else and say, I would like you to facilitate this meeting for a few minutes while I weigh in on this, because I have an idea and I want to share it. But as a facilitator, that's not my job. Right. The second is probably control. I think that's but a control not in a top-down kind of way or in a restrictive kind of way, but just being able to manage, from the word, being able to manage the people, the group, and oneself. Self-control. And another is probably preparation. The project manager, it may be so busy that they don't get that agenda out several days in advance. That's not good, because people show up at meetings and they don't know what they're doing. And they didn't need to show up for this one because we're not talking about their stuff.
Ooh, nice. Perfect. Okay, so we've been talking about the benefits of using facilitation in project management. We've talked about good, bad, the ugly. We've talked about skills to have. So if you were to have a suggestion, like let's hope we can now pass that baton on to anyone watching this, what suggestions do you have for anybody wanting to make that shift in their mind, saying, maybe I should use a little bit more of these skills? What suggestions do you have for folks?
I think I would first of all ask a couple of trusted fellow people, and it doesn't matter what level they are, who attend my meetings, to give me some feedback afterwards.
Ooh, nice.
Do what we call a plus delta. What did I do well, and what could I improve on? And what did you notice about that? I've been a facilitator for a very large group of people, in which we had little one-sheet feedback forms at the back of every meeting room, and you didn't have to fill them out. It was there if you want, and the facilitator didn't have to take them if they were frightened of them. But it first of all, get some feedback on how you're doing. Second of all, start studying this stuff. I mean, there are great classes, and NFAC's website has links to classes and people that from whom you can learn. And then the third thing is, set as your goal to be certified, because if you're really going to be good at something, you want to know that you are industry good, not just self, good for me. And so NFAC's coming up with a thing like that. And the title Certified Master Facilitator is such a category. Certified Competent Facilitator. There's a series of those kinds of certifications. Certified Learning Facilitator is one that you just develop to help develop and and it is now available.
Yeah.
So I think that's the path.
Those I think are good because they also give you peer feedback
Yeah.
from an industry standard. So
Yeah, yeah.
great.
And 55% of learning comes peer to peer. So it's a good thing to get your peers' feedback.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you for doing a brain dump, for throwing
Yes.
some spaghetti on the wall, having a bit of a food fight in the process. And Dan, I really appreciate your time. So thank you so much.
Been an honor.